Please, he's still alive, screamed the little black girl as she interrupted the millionaire's funeral. The scream tore through the cemetery's silence like thunder. Everyone turned at the same time. Men in black suits, women with mourning veils, businessmen, politicians, celebrities. More than 200 people gathered for the most important funeral of the year. And in the middle of them, running between the tombstones, a little black girl of maybe 9 years old. Dirty clothes, disheveled hair, bare feet wounded from so much running. Don't bury him. Please, he's still alive. 2 security guards advanced immediately, intercepting the girl before she could reach the mahogany coffin covered with white flowers. One of them grabbed her arm hard. What do you think you're doing, girl? This is private property. The girl struggled, her eyes full of tears, her voice desperate. You don't understand. He didn't die. You're burying him alive. Murmurs of indignation ran through the crowd. Some people shook their heads with contempt. Others filmed with their phones, finding the pathetic scene amusing. The man being mourned was Khalid al-Rashid, 52 years old. Arab billionaire, owner of one of the largest luxury hotel chains in the world. He had moved to the United States 20 years ago and built an empire. A well-known philanthropist, he donated millions to social causes. And now, according to the doctors, he was dead. Massive heart attack, 3 days earlier. Get this child out of here before she causes more embarrassment, ordered a cold voice. The voice belonged to Diana, Khalid's wife. Blonde, elegant, impeccable black dress. Her blue eyes were dry. No tears. Just irritation. The guards began to drag the girl out. Please. You need to listen to me. The food was poisoned. I know because they tried to poison me too. The word poisoned made some people stop. Glances were exchanged. But Diana gestured impatiently. She's delirious. Probably a homeless person with mental problems. Continue with the ceremony. The priest cleared his throat and returned to reading the prayers. The girl was dragged to the cemetery gate, screaming and crying. No one helped her. No one wanted to listen. But there was one person watching everything from afar. James. Khalid's personal driver for 15 years. A 60-year-old black man, gray hair, tired but attentive eyes. He knew that little girl. He knew exactly who she was. And he knew she wasn't lying. While the ceremony continued, James discreetly walked away and went to the gate, where the girl had been thrown out like trash. He found her sitting on the curb, sobbing, her knees scraped. Hope, he said quietly, kneeling before her. It's me, James. The girl looked up. She recognized the kind face of the driver who always gave her a wave when he passed by on the street. Mr. James, they didn't listen to me. Nobody listened to me. Mr. Khalid is still alive. I know he is. The same thing they did to me, they did to him. James felt his blood run cold. What do you mean the same thing? The food. The food that the man from the house brought me. I would eat and get sick. My body would stop moving, but I stayed awake inside. It happened 3 times. I thought I was going to die. The driver closed his eyes. The pieces were starting to fit together. 2 weeks ago, he had noticed something strange. Khalid, always so healthy and energetic, began to get weak. Pale. Confused. The doctors couldn't find anything. They said it was stress. And then 3 days ago, his boss simply died. Too fast. Too convenient. Hope, tell me everything from the beginning. How did you meet Mr. Khalid? The girl wiped her tears and began to speak. It had all started 3 weeks earlier. Hope was 9 years old and had been living on the streets since she was 6, when her mother died of an overdose. She had no family, no one. She slept in alleys, ate what she found in the trash, ran from the dangers that night brought. That afternoon, she was rummaging through a dumpster behind a luxury restaurant when she heard a deep voice. Hey, little one. Are you hungry? Hope turned around startled, ready to run. But the man standing there didn't seem threatening. He was tall, olive-skinned, well-trimmed gray beard, kind brown eyes. He wore a suit that probably cost more than everything she would ever see in her life. You don't need to be afraid. I just want to give you something to eat. He extended his hand. In it was $100 bill. Hope hesitated. She had learned to distrust adults. But there was something about that man. A genuine kindness she hadn't seen in a long time. "What's your name?" he asked. "Hope." "Hope. What a beautiful name." The man smiled. "I'm Khalid. And I promise that from today on, you won't need to eat from the trash anymore." That promise changed everything. In the following days, Khalid had his driver James deliver meals to Hope every day. Breakfast, lunch, dinner. Real food, warm, delicious. But it didn't stop there. A week later, Khalid returned personally to see her. "Hope, I want to make you a proposal. I'm building a shelter for homeless children. There will be beds, food, school, doctors. Everything you need. And I want you to be the first resident." Hope's eyes filled with tears. "Why are you doing this for me?" Khalid knelt down to be at her height. His gaze carried an old pain. "Because I had a daughter. She would be your age today. But I lost her when she was a baby." He paused. "Every time I see a child suffering, I see her. And I promised I would do everything I could to help." Hope said nothing. She just hugged the man who, for the first time in 3 years, made her feel like someone cared. What she didn't know was that, at that exact moment, someone was watching them. From the window of the Al-Rashid mansion office, Diana held a glass of wine with tense fingers. Beside her, a middle-aged man in a butler's uniform. "Are you seeing this, Victor? My husband hugging a filthy beggar." Victor nodded in silence. First he wants to donate half his fortune to charity. Now he wants to adopt a street brat. Diana took a long sip of wine. "This man is destroying everything I worked to achieve." "What do you wish to do, madam?" Diana smiled. A cold, calculated smile. "What I should have done a long time ago." If you're enjoying this story, subscribe to the channel now. Because what Diana is planning will change everyone's destiny forever. James listened to every word from Hope with a heavy heart. The girl explained that 2 weeks ago, a different man started bringing the food. It was no longer James. It was Victor, the butler. He said you were busy and sent him instead. James frowned. He had never been replaced. No one told him anything. "And what happened when you ate?" "I would get dizzy. My body would stop working. I couldn't move, but I stayed awake inside. It was horrible. It felt like I was dead, but I could hear everything around me." The driver felt a chill run down his spine. That explained everything. Khalid's sudden weakness. The confusion. The sudden death with no medical explanation. "Hope, how many times did you eat that food?" 3. The third time, I pretended to eat, but I threw it away secretly. After that, I stopped accepting it." "And how do you know they did the same thing to Mr. Khalid?" Hope lowered her eyes. "Because last night I went to the mansion. I wanted to see Mr. Khalid, thank him for everything. I hid in the garden and heard a conversation through the window." James leaned forward. "What did you hear?" "The blonde woman and the man in uniform. They were laughing. She said she had finally gotten rid of her husband and no one would ever find out. She said the medicine made it look like natural death." James's blood ran cold. Diana. Victor. Murderers. And Khalid, possibly still alive, about to be buried. "Hope, are you absolutely sure of what you heard?" "I am. I never lie, Mr. James. Never." The driver looked back. The ceremony continued. The priest was still speaking. The coffin was still open for the last goodbyes before being sealed. There was still time. "Wait here," James said. "I'm going to fix this." He walked back to the cemetery with firm steps. His heart was racing, but his mind was clear. He needed to act fast. As he approached the group, Diana spotted him and frowned. "James, where were you? And why are you talking to that street girl?" The driver ignored the question. "Mrs. Diana, we need to postpone the burial." "Excuse me. Something is wrong. We need to call another doctor to examine the body." Diana's face contracted. "Have you lost your mind? My husband has been dead for 3 days. The doctors already confirmed it. The body needs to be buried. Then you won't mind if I call the police for an investigation." The silence that followed was dense. Victor, who was nearby, stepped forward. "James, you're crossing the line. You're fired. Leave immediately." Some guests began paying attention to the argument. James didn't back down. "I worked for Mr. Khalid for 15 years. I know him better than anyone here. And I know something is very wrong with this death." Diana let out a dry laugh. "What a ridiculous accusation. Guards, remove this man." 2 guards advanced, but before they could touch James, a strong voice interrupted. "Wait." Everyone turned. The one who had spoken was Robert Chun, Khalid's personal attorney for 20 years. An Asian man in his early 50s, respected and influential. "James is right. There are irregularities that need to be investigated." Diana turned pale. "Robert, what are you talking about?" The attorney walked to the center of the group. "Yesterday, I received an anonymous call. The person said Khalid didn't die of natural causes. That he was poisoned. I thought it was a prank, but now—" He looked at James. "Now I think we should hear what this man has to say." The murmurs among the guests intensified. Phones were raised. The situation was slipping out of Diana's control. Victor whispered something in her ear. She took a deep breath and forced a smile. "Very well. If you want to investigate, investigate. I have nothing to hide. But do it after the burial." "No," Robert said firmly. "We'll do it now. I'm calling the police and an independent medical examiner. No one touches this coffin until then." Diana clenched her fists. Outside the cemetery, Hope watched everything through the bars. Her heart was beating fast. Someone was finally listening. 40 minutes later, 3 police cars arrived. A medical examiner stepped out of an ambulance. The cemetery became a crime scene. The examiner approached the coffin with his bag. Everyone watched in absolute silence. He examined Khalid's body for long minutes. Checked the pulse. Opened the eyelids. Held a mirror to the nose. Then he stopped. His face changed. "My God," he murmured. Everyone held their breath. The doctor turned to the crowd, his face pale. "This man is still alive." The scream of shock ran through the crowd. "Alive? How is that possible?" The medical examiner was already in action. He shouted orders to the paramedics, who ran with the stretcher. "He's in a state of induced paralysis. Extremely weak pulse, almost imperceptible. I need to take him to the hospital immediately." Khalid was carefully removed from the coffin. His eyes were closed, his body motionless, but his chest rose and fell almost imperceptibly. Diana stepped back 2 paces, her face white as paper. "This is impossible." The doctors confirmed his death. "I saw the death certificate." The detective who had arrived with the police cars approached her. "Mrs. Al-Rashid, I'm going to need you to stay here for some questions." "Questions?" "I'm the widow. I should be accompanying my husband to the hospital." "You're not going anywhere." 2 officers positioned themselves beside her. On the other side of the cemetery, Hope ran inside when she saw that no one was stopping her anymore. James met her halfway and hugged her. "You saved his life, Hope. You saved him." The girl was crying, but this time they were tears of relief. While the ambulance left with Khalid, the detective began interrogating Diana. "Ma'am, what do you know about the cause of your husband's death?" "Heart attack. That's what the doctors said." "Which doctor signed the death certificate?" Diana hesitated for a fraction of a second. "Dr. Harrison. Our private physician." The detective noted the name. "And where can we find this Dr. Harrison?" I don't know. He travels a lot." Robert Chun, the attorney, approached and handed the detective a folder. "Perhaps this will help, detective. Dr. Harrison doesn't exist in any official medical registry. I checked yesterday, after the anonymous call." Diana shot a look of hatred at Robert. "Are you accusing me of something?" "I'm presenting facts." The detective opened the folder and examined the documents. "Mrs. Al-Rashid, I'm going to need you to accompany me to the station." "This is absurd. I demand to speak with my lawyer." "You have that right." While Diana was escorted to a patrol car, Victor tried to slip away discreetly. But James saw him. That one too, the driver told the detective. The butler. He was involved. Victor tried to run, but two officers intercepted him in seconds. Let me go. I didn't do anything. Hope, still in James's arms, pointed at him. He was the one who brought the poisoned food. He tried to kill me too. The detective looked at the girl attentively. Can you tell me all of this at the station, little one? Your testimony is going to be very important. Hope nodded with courage. I'll tell everything. Everything. 3 hours later, at the hospital, Khalid was stabilized. The doctors confirmed he had been poisoned with a substance that induced deep paralysis, simulating death. In high and prolonged doses, it would cause real cardiac arrest. He was hours away from actually dying. James and Hope were waiting in the hallway when Robert Chen appeared. He woke up. He's weak, but conscious. And he's asking for both of you. They entered the room together. Khalid was lying in bed, pale, tubes connected to his body. But his eyes were open. And when he saw Hope, a weak smile appeared on his face. My little Hope, he whispered. You saved my life. Hope ran to the bed, holding his hand. I knew you hadn't died. I knew it. Khalid looked at James. My old friend. Thank you for believing her. I couldn't do otherwise, sir. Khalid closed his eyes for a moment, gathering strength to speak. I heard everything, you know, while I was paralyzed. I heard Diana and Victor planning. I heard them laughing. I heard her saying she would finally have all the fortune to herself. Tears rolled down the billionaire's face. 20 years of marriage. And she only wanted my money. The silence in the room was heavy. But there's something you don't know, Khalid continued. Something I discovered while I was paralyzed in the coffin. James approached. What, sir? The anonymous call. I know who made it. Robert Chen, who was at the door, entered. Who was it? Khalid looked at the attorney. It was you, wasn't it, Robert? The attorney was silent for a moment. Then he nodded. I had suspected Diana for months. She was diverting money from the accounts. When you died so suddenly, I knew something was wrong. Khalid nodded. You saved my life as much as Hope and James. Robert shook his head. No. I just made a call. That girl ran across the city to crash your funeral. She's the real hero. Everyone looked at Hope. The girl, for the first time in a long time, truly smiled. At the station, Diana and Victor were formally charged with attempted murder. The investigation revealed that the poison had been illegally purchased on the black market. The fake doctor, Dr. Harrison, was identified as a charlatan wanted in 3 states. But the most shocking revelation was yet to come. During the interrogation, pressured by the evidence, Diana finally confessed. I did it for money. He was going to donate everything to charity. He was going to leave me with nothing. The detective stared at her. And his daughter? The baby who died 9 years ago. Diana fell silent. The records show you were the nanny at the time. That the child died under your care. Sudden death, they said. More silence. It was you, wasn't it? You killed his daughter to get closer. To console him. To marry him. Diana looked up. There was no remorse there. Only coldness. I did what I had to do. The news of Diana al-Rashid's arrest exploded in the media. Newspapers, television, social media. Everyone wanted to know the details of the case that shocked the country. The wife who tried to bury her billionaire husband alive. The street girl who saved his life. Diana was sentenced to 35 years in prison for aggravated attempted murder. The investigation into the death of Khalid's daughter was reopened, and new charges would be added. Victor received 20 years as an accomplice. The fake doctor was captured 2 weeks later, trying to flee to Mexico. He got 15 years. But while justice took its course, another story was just beginning. 2 weeks after leaving the hospital, Khalid called James and Hope for a meeting at his mansion. The billionaire was still weak, but his eyes shone with a determination that hadn't been seen in a long time. Hope, I have a question for you. The girl, sitting on the enormous leather couch, swung her legs nervously. Yes, sir. Would you like to have a real family? Hope didn't understand immediately. What do you mean? Khalid slowly stood up and walked over to her. He knelt down to be at her height, exactly as he had done the day they met. I lost my daughter 9 years ago. I spent all this time thinking it had been an accident. Now I know it was Diana who took her from me. She stole my chance to be a father. Tears formed in his eyes. But you, Hope, gave me back something I thought was impossible. You gave me back my life. And I want to give you back the same thing. The girl was silent, unable to process. I want to adopt you, Hope. I want you to be my daughter. Officially. Legally. Forever. Tears began to roll down Hope's face. You want to be my father? If you'll have me. Hope didn't respond with words. She threw herself into Khalid's arms and cried. Cried like she had never cried before. But this time, they were tears of pure happiness. James, watching the scene from the corner of the room, discreetly wiped his own eyes. The adoption process was expedited due to the exceptional circumstances. 3 months later, Hope went from being a girl without a last name to becoming Hope al-Rashid. Khalid kept every promise he had made. The shelter for homeless children was inaugurated 6 months later. A huge building, with comfortable rooms, school, doctors, psychologists. Capacity for 200 children. The name of the place? Hope Center. At the inauguration ceremony, Khalid gave an emotional speech. A year ago, I was inside a coffin, about to be buried alive. The person who saved me wasn't a doctor, a lawyer, or a police officer. It was a 9-year-old girl that no one wanted to listen to. A girl that society had discarded as trash. He looked at Hope, who was beside him, dressed in a beautiful blue dress. Hope taught me that kindness doesn't choose an address. That courage doesn't require a diploma. That true love sometimes comes from where we least expect it. The audience applauded emotionally. James was promoted to director of operations of the new shelter. He went from being a driver to someone who would help change the lives of hundreds of children. Robert Chun continued as Khalid's attorney, but now also handled all the legal matters for the charitable foundation. 1 year after the inauguration, Hope turned 10. Khalid organized a huge party. He invited all the children from the shelter, friends, employees. There was cake, music, clowns, toys. At the end of the party, when everyone had left, father and daughter sat together in the mansion's garden, watching the stars. Dad. Yes, my daughter? Thank you for choosing me. Khalid smiled and kissed her forehead. No, Hope. Thank you for saving me. Not just my life. You saved my soul. Hope rested her head on her father's shoulder. I love you, Dad. I love you too, my daughter. Forever. The girl who once ate from the trash now slept on silk sheets. The girl no one wanted to listen to now had a voice that changed lives. The girl without a family now had a father who loved her unconditionally. And it all started because she refused to stay silent. Sometimes, angels don't have wings. They have bare feet, torn clothes, and a heart that insists on doing the right thing, even when the whole world tells them to be quiet. If this story touched your heart, subscribe to the channel and leave in the comments, do you believe a child can change the world? Turn on notifications so you don't miss any story. And remember, never underestimate someone who seems to have nothing. Sometimes, those are the people who have everything that truly matters.